Hello there. Hi, Nate here, and going to be showing you how to play Dwarf Fortress because it's a mega complicated game and it's one I love. And we've just had a release on Steam, which has given it new graphics, given it a tutorial, cleaned some stuff up, making it a bit more user friendly. It is still like the most complicated game, but it's a lot of fun when you dig into it. So that's what we're going to have a look at today. So we're going to be going from right from world creation. So on your main menu, you just want to create new world, you or start new game in existing world. Won't be there. Neither will continue active game. So create new world. I'm going to start right at the beginning. So the idea of Dwarf Fortress is to kind of make your own fun. It's a deep fantasy simulator. It's got no real endpoint, no point where you hit the credits and you've won. You just want to make goals for yourself. Um, so, first of all, though, because it is a fantasy simulator, one that literally simulates an entire world and all the people in it, all the events, all the history, artifacts, even things like the way that music and poetry has evolved. So we're going to do that. We're going to start by creating a world that your game takes place in. Now, there is a detailed mode down here, but heck, I don't think even a lot of people that are really familiar with Dwarf Fortress know what all this does. Um, unless you're doing something very specific, the basic options are fine. Now I'm going to go over what each of these options are briefly. So first of all is world map size. Um, this one's fairly obvious. What I would say on this is, I would say leave everything here on default. If your computer struggles a little bit, then a smaller world can help. Dwarf Fortress isn't a very graphically impressive game, but it is simulating a lot of stuff. So the frame rate can go down if if things are too intense. So it might be better just go for a small world. We'll stay on medium for this. History length. Okay, this will change how long of a period that the game is generated before you start your own fort and your own adventure in your world. So at the start of history, there's there's depending on these other settings, but usually there's a lot more beasts, titans, and people haven't got established yet. Civilization is very early. So 100 years is a good starting point. It will also generate a lot of special artifacts. It'll generate clans and civilizations. So yeah, 100 years is good. Um, a bit longer can enter you into different ages because there's different types of ages that can happen. The number of civilizations is what it sounds like. If this is too low, you'll struggle to be able to trade with people and you'll be a bit isolated. Too high gets a bit crowded. You end up running out of tend to be a lot of civilizations that are already well established. Medium, once again, it's good. All of these can be fun to customize once you get used to the game, but these are good for now. So, number of sites. This is how many towns, villages, buildings, mountain homes that are able to be created in the world. Once again, you don't want everything too close together. You'll have war on your doorstep, and you'll also have just a lot of people about. But you don't want too few, or there'll be no one around to interact with. Now then, number of beasts, I believe, is the powerful creatures of the world, the forgotten beasts, the titans, the hydras, all that sort of stuff. You want a good number to keep things interesting, but too high and these tend to wipe out entire civilizations, and you're left with not very many people. So there's that. Savagery is the rest of the stuff: danger, wild animals, hazardous environments. If you want a particularly like a bit of a challenging game, you might want to put this higher. If you want a bit of an easier one, you might want to put this lower. Medium's fine for here though. Now finally, we have mineral occurrence, and this is how often and how much you will find your metals and minerals that are useful to you. Um, you know, I think the default used to be frequent on this, but everywhere's fine too. Means you're gonna get a lot of iron and steel and coal and a heck of a lot of other stuff here. So that's all fine. Just wanted to run down what this world creation is about. And once you've decided, just click Create World. Don't worry, we'll get to the video game eventually. So now we're loading the world data, and we're going to start generating a world. Here we go. So this is the land it's made, and now it's populating it with it's going through the 100 years that we set up, and you can see there's over 30,000 events that have already happened in this generation, and there's some of the more prominent ones being displayed here. There we go, that's our world. Let's have a look. This is our world. A few different continents. Yeah, quite a few more than usual. Great. So once you're happy with that, there used to be a button to recreate it, but it doesn't look like there is now. But you can always go back to the main menu and make it again if you don't like this one. But yeah, here we go. So we should have some. Here we go. We've got a Dwarf Fortress there. Got some Dwarven Hills there, and there should be a. There we go. What's this one? A monastery. There's all sorts, but we're gonna have a close look at that. So let's press play now. And now we're going to save the world, and there's a lot of data to save. Great, okay. So here's the game mode selection screen. So Fortress is the main mode, as you might imagine. Adventurer is very cool, but it's not currently in the Steam version. And then we've got Legends. So I'm going to briefly look at Legends, just to show you what it is. All those events that we just generated during world generation are here. So we've got historical figures that did something of note. There's thousands of them because we went over 100 years. So we've got Forgotten Beasts. This one has apparently just been wandering around doing nothing. A lot of Forgotten Beasts. Let's go down here. We've got an elf here. She was a poet. Yep, and she tried to get an apprenticeship. Looks like she created some poems that became famous. And yeah, and she killed 3 goblins, so good on her. Yeah, so if you've got some time and you fancy looking at the history of your world, you can come here. You can look at the historical figures, the different important sites, all sorts here. Famous books, civilizations. It's all here for you to have a look at. Really cool. There's only one age currently. We're still in the age of myth. And we're done. Okay, let's start the game. Fortress. The game will move forward 2 weeks. So for the tutorial, this will take you straight away to an easy to start location. I'm going to skip it and show you how to find one yourself. But I would recommend you do that. Alright, so let's have a look around. So there's some things you want to look out for. You want there to be some trees. You want it to be fairly safe for your first game, and you don't want there to be an aquifer. Ideally, you want a lot of metals and some soil as well. So let's see. Let's check over here, shall we? So these red squares represent a site that's already there. So this is a human hamlet. But let's check up here somewhere what we got. So you can see on the right there is a light aquifer here. We're going to avoid aquifers. So what we could do is just sort of wander around, looking for somewhere near a... It's good to have fresh water as well, which is why I'm going by all these rivers. Like, we can wander around looking for one of these, looking for the perfect place. This is Dwarf Fortress now. But absolutely, for your first fortress, you don't want an aquifer. So instead of just looking all over the map manually, we can click this Find Embark Location. And if we go down, oh, where is it? There we go, Aquifer. If we say no to both of those and click Begin, it will find all the areas where there's no aquifer. You can also put the other things you want in here. So you can have it calm. You can say you want it calm. You can say you want it good, normal, or evil. You don't want evil, and you probably don't want good either. I'd keep this just off. But yeah, good and evil have some weird extra things to worry about. So yeah, so that's fine. I'm just gonna ask it to search for no aquifers and begin. And now that will do a scan of the whole planet. Okay, now that the scan's finished, you can see that it's going to highlight in green all the areas where there's no aquifer. There's a lot up here, but this is like a glacier. We don't want to start there. Dealing with ice is also tricky for your first game. What about here? Let's have a look. Down here near the mountains, in the forests, I'd like somewhere with a lake. Sorry, not a lake, a river. Here looks good. So I'm going to click Embark, and now it's going to give me this little square of where I want to play. You can change this, make it bigger or smaller. Too big can affect the frame rate a bit. So, 4x4 is fine. So let me just... there we go. Just getting rid of that so I can see what we found. Okay, the problem here is no trees. If we go down a little bit... No, I would like some trees. Even though it's saying that we're in a forest. Here we go. Okay, sun. Okay, temperature is temperate. Loads of trees. Other vegetation slick. Wilderness surroundings. So that is a little more dangerous than normal. I think I'm going to risk it for this tutorial. You might want to find somewhere a bit calmer. Wilderness means there's usually some violent animals around, but we'll deal with that. We've got some sand. We've got which means we can make glass. Some soil for farming. Metals. We've got iron, gold, silver, copper, nickel, and zinc. Platinum, tin, and lead. And we've got a fluxstone layer, which we need to make steel. So that's great. That's a lot of metals. Nearby, we have some elves, short trip away. We have humans, and we are goblins. We are hostile towards. They are also a day away, but you know what? Being near some goblins, it puts a bit of fun into it. So that's all good. So I'm going to click here. Oh, apparently it has a light aquifer. Interesting. Interesting. It's not saying on the search that it does. I think it's lying to me. I think it's lying to me. I think there's possibly part of an aquifer there, but I think we're okay. Yeah, I think we're going to go there. Right, so you can now we can choose what we start with. I would recommend for your first few starts you don't worry about this and you just click play now. I've made a custom start here where I start with elephants. And you can do that yourself. You can make your own start by going to prepare for the journey carefully. At the moment, you probably won't know what you need and what you want, so I would just click play now. And here we are. We're finally in the game. Time to strike the earth. Right. Let's click OK. So the game starts paused, and that's good because we're going to have to look around and see what we can find. Alright, so now we're finally in the game. Let's see what we can do. The first things to do, have a look around. So WASD, control your camera. You can also middle click your mouse and scroll around like that. You can hover over things to see what they are. You can also click on things. Well, you can click on objects like dwarves and objects on the ground and animals and see what they are. And it's right click to exit a menu. So I can click on this wagon and see what's inside the wagon there, look. Okay, you use the mouse wheel to go up or down a layer because Dwarf Fortress is in 3D. So if I go up, you can see some of the higher parts of these trees. Here, look. If I go down, you can see what's inside this hill. Apart from you can't see what's in it because you have to dig down to see what's in there. You can also use E and C to scroll up and down if you want to. Alright, so we're going to look at our surroundings. I believe we had, we're up on a hill, it looks like, up on a mountain. We've got a little brook here with some fresh water, which is nice. Plenty of trees. Great. Okay, if you ever lose your wagon, there's this recenter hotkeys thing here. You can set your own recenter areas. There's one for the wagon arrival, one right there. You can also go to the surface, say you're really far underground there, you just click that, go to the surface. You can also go to the deepest place you've discovered, which is not very far down at that location. You can zoom in if you want to, and zoom out if you want to. Okay, so that's your camera controls. It's spacebar to pause and unpause, and you're going to be doing that a lot. There's also these buttons at the top if you want to do it manually. So, what do we do first? First, I'm going to look at the dwarf screen, which is down here. You can also press the U key. And these are our 7 starting dwarves. You'll see that they have a name and they have a profession. This is what they're best at. This can change as they learn different skills. This is what they're currently doing. And this is where we can set them to be locked in on one particular job. So if you get someone really good at mining, you don't want him going to, like, I don't know, milk a cow when you've got mining to do. Yeah. So we can go see where they are by clicking on this. So if we go over here, it'll put the camera back on him. And you can examine him by clicking on this. and all sorts to look at here. In Dwarf Fortress, you don't control your dwarves. You just tell them what to do, and they will do them if they feel like it. They have personalities. They can have tantrums. They have likes and dislikes, and a whole bunch of different values and preferences and all sorts. So what we're going to do to start with is find them somewhere. We're going to get out of this rain. We're going to get out of this because I believe it's raining. Yeah. We're going to get out of the rain. We're going to just dig them a little hole to all hang out in case, so they don't get wet because they don't like it. And also in case there's any natural savagery around trying to hurt them. What we can also do is if we go back to this dwarves menu here, we can go to others, the others tab, because we have the pets tab here and then an others tab. And this will be anything that's not really belonging to us, so not our citizens, not our pets. So that will usually contain anything hostile, as well as some like allies that we don't control or don't live here. But no, it looks like we're currently safe from hostiles, but we're still gonna dig in. So let's see. If I go down a layer, I think I'm gonna ask them to dig into this hill. So what you do is down here we have this little pickaxe icon. You can also press M, and then above it are the options for digging. We want the first one, the pickaxe icon again. And all you got to do is find where you want to dig. And you click once. We're going to go... here's fine. You click once to designate the first corner of the rectangle. And then you move your mouse and click again to designate the other part. And now all of that is designated to be dug. Now, if I now unpause the game, and we wait a second, our miner will come over, and he'll dig it out. Cool, and then he'll wander off and do whatever he wants to do. So I've paused the game again. What we're going to do is just dig out a bit of an underground room here. Just for our, you know what, I don't want it there. What you can do is, if you go over here, you can press X or click on this little eraser, and you can remove designations. So let's get rid of that. I don't want it quite like that. I want it here like this. And unpause. Great. Okay, we've got a little room for them all to stand. In fact, I'm just going to make it just a little bit bigger. A bit less cramped. Cool. Okay, so we have this now, but you'll notice everyone's just sort of still idling by the wagon. So what we want to do is create a zone. So you can right click to get out of the mining designation. And then we want this button over here. You can also press Z or Z for zone. And this will let you designate a whole bunch of different things to an area. We'll get through all of these as time goes on. Feel free to explore it. But the one we want right now is meeting area. So if we click that, and then we're just going to do the same we did with the mining to tell it where we want it. And then once we're done, we click accept. This is now a meeting area. You can rename it, you can turn it off and on, you can delete it, you can repaint it. But yeah, so now if I unpause it, I right click, by the way, it's still there, look, but you don't need to see it unless you're on the zones menu. So if I unpause it now, all the dwarves will come and hang out in the meeting area when they're not doing anything. And the animals too. Right. So that's great, but we're going to need some more things. All our dwarves are in here, but all our supplies are still on the wagon, and there are different animals that might come and steal something later on. Goblins might come and grab it. We don't really want them just out in the open, so we're going to want a stockpile to put them all in. So what I'm going to do, dig further over here, dig another big room like this, and let the dwarves go to work, or just the one miner. In fact, you know what? I think we want a second miner because we have 2 pickaxes. So if I go to this one here, you can use the Y key, or you can click on the hammer for the labor menu. This will let you tell the dwarves what they're allowed to do. Now, mining is set to only the selected do this, and we've only got the one guy selected, so only he's going to be mining. But we want someone to help him, so I'm going to get our fisher dwarf to do it while he's not fishing. So all you got to do when mining selected, just click on that, and the little mining icon has been added. These are all the default ones. You can, if we look at planters, everybody plants. You can also change that so that only certain people do it. Same as with miners. And you can also create your own work detail so that you can have certain people that only do certain things. So as with everything in this game, it's completely open to your experimentation. There's tons of stuff you can do. But now we have 2 miners, so if I unpause again, the other guy should go grab a pickaxe, and he'll be over to help, I assume, if he can be bothered. He might be fishing. Let's find out what he's doing. He's fishing. Okay, he's not helping right now because he's fishing. But yes, he would normally help. In fact, you know what? Let's give it to someone else. Let's give it to the planter. There we go. Great. So now we have our area for a stockpile. We're going to click on the stockpile button down here. You can also press P, and then there will be an option just here above it, start a new stockpile. Once again, we're just going to choose where we want it, and then click accept. And these are the choices of what we want to store in this stockpile. Now, normally I would just say, well, we want everything, right? But the problem is we don't want things like corpses and refuse. You know, you want a refuse pile elsewhere for garbage, but we don't want those here. So once you've selected all, you can then click on custom, and we can remove some things. So corpses, we'll click on that and click none. Refuse, none. Oh, no, sorry, we're going to do it here, so it's all the categories, none. And I'm going to turn wood off, and I'm going to turn stone off. So we'll have a separate stockpile for wood and stone. Feel free to keep them on if you'd like, but this is how I'm going to do mine. So once that's done, right click. Sorry, I zoomed out, there we go. And then right click again. That's all set up. If you want to look at it again, you can click on it and check it. But now if I press play, all of our dwarves should run and pop everything in the stockpile. Right, here's something to note while we wait for them to do that, is we have this notification on the left. Make sure to take note of what these are saying. Once you've looked at them, you can right click to dismiss them, and I'd recommend doing so because then you can see new things pop up. This is just saying that the weather's got better, but there will be stuff that's a bit more important later. Cool, so they've about filled that up. There might be more room we need, but we can sort that later. Right, cool. Dwarves are inside. all our possessions are inside, but we're kind of all just huddling in a hole in the ground. You know, we haven't really started making a fortress. So let's do that. We're going to need stone. Stone is a very useful material. Up here, we're kind of just on the surface still, so we just got like sand, and probably just below this is mud. So we need to dig down. We've dug to the side, we need to dig down. So if we go back to our digging menu, and this time if we choose the stairway one, and I'm going to make um, a stairway that is 4 wide, and then after I've clicked the first time, I'm going to scroll down one and click again. And now they're going to build a stairway from here to here. So let's watch them do that. And they're both helping this time. That's nice. Cool. So now the dwarves can come down here. Oh, we've discovered lignite. Excellent. That's good. We need that for fuel. Right. So let's dig out some space down here. Right. Let's do a corridor. Big long corridor. And let's make some room for... I'm going to do a bit of a meeting hall down here as well. We're going to use that as like an inn later on. So let's see, let's just do a big room here. Feel free to do this however you want to do it. And then what I'm going to do is down here, I'm going to start making some areas for industry. So I'm going to make a huge stockpile here, and I'm going to make the industry around the stockpile, so they've got somewhere to put their finished goods. Now, don't worry about all this if it's not the same as yours. I'm just making a bit of room for what I know is to come. You can adjust if you need to a bit later. Let's do one of those. Because what I'm going to do is this is going to be a dining room, and we're going to have a bit of a kitchen up here. In fact, you know what? Instead of that, let's make this even bigger. And let's make this bigger too. Like this. That's great. Alright, we'll dig this out in a moment. You'll notice when we're mining that we're dropping all these stones, and there's a chance whenever you mine any type of stone that they will drop their material. You can hover over the wall here and see it's a mudstone wall, so it's going to drop mudstone. If you want to know what each stone does, you can click on it. It says its uses here. Most regular stone, it's just used for building and making furniture. That's about it, really. However, lignite here, it can be made into coke for your furnaces. So very useful. Right. Looks like our miners are on a bit of a break. Here they are, they're back now. And let's make a couple of entrances to this. Here we go. Maybe overworking them a little bit here. Great. Oh, all right. And then I'm going to make some room for our first couple of workshops. So I'm going to put one here and one here. Yeah. You'll notice I'm making all of our corridors at least 2 wide. Dwarves can't really walk in the same space as each other. They don't like to anyway. So by making it 2 wide, at least 2 wide, then they've got room to walk around each other, not bump into each other in the halls. Okay, So this area is going to be our dining area, and what I'm going to do is have this area as a food stockpile. So I'm going to do the same thing we did before. Add stockpile, accept, and this time I'm just going to click on the food icon, if I can find it. There it is. There we go. And then if I come up here and edit this stockpile, go to stockpiles and click on it, go to custom, and I'm going to disable food here, so they'll move it over to the new stockpile. There we go. Someone caught a turtle. Good job. That's great. We're getting a lot of good ore here, and some gems too. All right. I'm also going to make room for another stockpile that we'll look at in a bit, like this. Right, and here I'm going to make. We're going to need some beds for our dwarves, or they'll get upset. Oh, I've not made that in a very good place. Oh well. Yeah, so we're going to need a carpentry workshop to make some beds. So if we go to the build button here, you can press B as well. There's a lot of stuff in this menu. We're going to go. So you would think you could just go to furniture and bed and just put one down, but what that does is actually places a bed that's already been made. So if I try it, look, it says, look, we need a bed. There's not one there. So if we go to workshops and carpenter and put it here, it will then ask you what material you want to make the workshop out of. You may as well just make it out of the stone that you've got lying about right next to it. So there we go. And right here, I'm going to do the same thing. Workshop, and we're going to make a stoneworker workshop. Cool. And a dwarf that's not doing anything will come down here and make that. And that's done. So most objects you make at workshops take one item of the material that they need. So a bed will take one wood. You can only make beds out of wood. So we're gonna need some wood. So if I go back up to the surface, there's plenty of trees. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna click on this tree chopping button, and just like mining, we're gonna designate some trees to chop down. And on pause. And there we go. Get quite a bit of wood for one tree there. I've set up this small area just under the workshop, just to keep some spare wood near the workshop, so they don't have to run and get it every time. Oops, sorry. There we go. Wood. So now everyone will fill that up with wood if they're free. There they go. Good job. So now that's set up, if we click on the carpenter workshop, we can add a new task to make something here. Now you can search in the search bar for what you want, or you can just scroll down and look. As you can see, there's a lot of stuff you can make out of wood. Right at the top is make bed. We're going to do that. Once you've done it, you'll see this has appeared. It means that somebody's on it. Someone's doing it now. And here he is. And it's done. And the bed is still sat in the workshop currently, but if there's space, someone will put it in a stockpile. Speaking of which, I'm going to make a finished goods stockpile right here. There we go. I'm going to do a custom one. And we want, for now, we can put bars there, cloth, finished goods, furniture. Let's put cut gems, but not rough ones there. That's fine. Weapons. All the things that we are going to make are going to end up here. Don't worry if you don't understand all that right now. You can do it however you'd like, however you want to organize things. But if you want to do it like me, there it is. And that'll give us some more room because this stockpile is not going to hold everything. Great. And someone has put that bed there, which is great. Right, so we'll also need a few more workshops. I'm going to make, if we go to workshops and then farming, workshops, farming, and we're going to put down a still. It's very important that your dwarves have alcohol. Literally, they will slow down to the point where they no longer work if they don't have alcohol. It's more important than water, and I'm not joking about that. Water is important too, though. Farming, and I'm also going to do a fishery, because we have got a fisherman collecting mainly turtles, it looks like. There we go. And now, when a fisher dwarf has done his thing, he will bring it here to prepare the fish. There we go, he's doing it there. He's doing it straight away. And he will do that task automatically for you. Next, I'm also going to put a butcher here. And finally, I'm going to put a kitchen here. And we're not going to use all of these right away, but I just like them to be around the dining room, so I'm setting them up now. I'm also going to put a meeting area right here. And later on I will change that to, in fact, I'm going to do it now. We're not going to do a meeting area. No, ignore me. We're going to do a meeting area. Yeah, so set up a meeting area right here. And in fact, I'm going to disable this one. So everyone will go hang out underground. Great. Okay, so your dwarves aren't going to be very happy if they don't have anywhere to sleep. So we've made a bed, but now let's make some bedrooms. I'm going to do that one layer down. So I'm going to dig some stairway here. And let's go away from the industry here. And I'm just going to branch off, I think. Let's see. About here. And they don't need huge rooms. As long as they've got a place to call their own, they're quite happy. Later on we'll get some nobles who want a little bit more, but for now, this is going to be fine. Keep misclicking. Great. So another thing I would like is to put doors on these bedrooms. So if we go to the stoneworkers workshop, we could search for rock door and click on that. and someone will come and make that for us with the nearest stone. They will ignore the important stones like lignite, and they'll use the stuff that is kind of only used for furniture and buildings, which is nice. Thing is, we need 7 beds at least, and we're going to need more, and we're also going to need the same amount of doors for these bedrooms. So doing it manually like that is not the fastest, especially later on in the game when there's a lot more going on. So we're gonna try and make a new way of doing things, a much faster way, and that is here the work orders menu. So the work orders menu lets you assign tasks, and dwarves will go and do them whenever they can. So I could say make 8 beds, and then when the dwarves are ready, they will make 8 beds, and they will choose the workshop to make it in. You know, they'll do all the thinking themselves. However, we need somebody to be able to organize these orders. We need a dwarf to have a job as a manager to organize them. So that's what we're going to do. If we go to this button here, this is nobles and administrators. You can use the N key as well. And you'll see these are all administration jobs, and later on there'll be some of our noble positions as well. You see here, here's the manager. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set our expedition leader as the manager. There we are, which is good because he has a good skill for it. He's an adequate organizer. And while I'm at it, I'm going to set him as bookkeeper. There we go. He can do both jobs, it's fine. So what a bookkeeper does is, if you look at the top here, we have a count of all of our different food and drinks and materials that we need. We also have stocks here, and we can have a look at everything we own. The thing is, see the squiggly lines? That means that the number is approximate. It might not be correct. The dwarves are just kind of guessing. A bookkeeper will keep those numbers accurate. Now, the only thing is that a manager and a bookkeeper need an office to work in. So we're going to build them an office. Luckily, they only need the lowest quality of office. Later on, some of these administrators and nobles will want a little bit more. They'll want some posh quarters and stuff. But basically, all these guys want is a chair to sit down on to do the work. So we can do that. If we come down here, and let's build them a little bit of a space. I'm going to give him a fair amount of space here, actually. Let's treat him. There we go. And we'll need a chair for him to sit on. So I'm going to order one of those at the Stoneworkers Workshop. By the way, stone chairs are called thrones, in case you can't find that. And it doesn't need a table, but I like to give him a desk to work on as well. Okay, someone's going to work on that. And we have dug that out. So as soon as the throne is made, should only be a moment. Great, someone's picking it up, and there it is. Right, so now we can actually put down some furniture. So I'm going to go to build, furniture, and chair, and I'm just going to pop it here. Then it will ask you which one you want to put in. We've only got the one at the moment. And I'm going to put the table there as well as soon as it's made. A dwarf will come and set it in its place. Great. And let me just check if that table is ready. Yep, it's just been made. Cool. So we'll put that in there as well. Now we can designate this as an office the same way that we've been using our other zones. So here we go, office, and just going to select the whole area, accept. And now if we look at this little dwarf button, we can assign the office to somebody. So we're going to assign it to our expedition leader, who's also our manager and bookkeeper. And once we do, he's going to run over here and he's going to do his work. And you'll notice straight away, all our stocks are way more accurate. There's none of those squiggly lines. We can see exactly what we've got. Great. Okay. So now we can also use work orders. And if we click this button at the top right, we can make anything in the game. So if I search for bed and click on bed, it defaults to 10. It defaults to you can use any shop. And you can change the number here. I think 10 is fine because we're going to need a few spare for later. By the way, later, once you're a bit more familiar, you can set conditions as well. For example, say you run out of alcoholic drinks, you can set it so that every time you're on less than 10 drinks, a dwarf will automatically come and make some more. So it's very useful, very powerful. But for now, we'll just use it as whenever we want something, we'll make a new order. So what's going to happen is our manager will confirm the order at his desk. See if that's done. Not yet. He's still working on it. Oh, got it on pause, that's why. There we go. He's doing his work. He's still doing his work. He's new to this, to be fair. When they get better at the skill, they're actually quicker to approve things. And that's been approved. So now, somebody, here we go, he's already on it. We'll make a bed. It's automatically been added, this task, look. Great. So I'm also going to ask them to make some doors. Rock door. There it is. And someone will handle that as well. Now, you may have noticed up here, we've only got a certain amount of food and drink. And I think our drinks are probably more likely to run out first. So, we need to have something to brew. And that is where farming comes in. Now, farming can be done on any mud. I believe we can do it on sand as well. So if we go to build, workshops, farming, and farm plot, we're going to use this old meeting area, I think. And you can click once and then click again to make a plot. Like so. And I'm going to do that again. I'm going to make a second plot. Because that way I can plant different crops in each one. So someone will come and set up the plot. So these are underground farm plots, so they can only grow underground crops, which is fine. If we click on it, you can choose what you want to grow for each season. We're currently in summer. And I'm going to set this first one all year round. Let's make plump helmets because they can grow any season. That's great. And then the second one, let's make some sweet pods on these 2 months and dimple cups on these 2 months. You can always change it if you run out of seeds. Speaking of which, there's an odd little, I don't know if it's a glitch or it's intended, but when you cook using plants, the seeds get destroyed. And we don't want that because we want to keep reusing these for brewing. So if I go down here to the labor menu, and then click the kitchen tab. Here we have permissions of what we can use the plump helmets for. Currently we can use it for cooking or for brewing, and I'm just going to turn off cooking. So we only use plump helmets for brewing. That's all we're going to use it to make. Great, so now our farmers will come and sort this out. Excellent. And this is also going to provide us a bit of extra food. Planting the crops, cool. For now, I'm going to put in another order to brew drinks from plants. We're just going to set that to go. So this is a good start. We've got a stockpile. We can make things out of stone and wood. We've got a meeting area. We have we can make drinks. We can set work orders, and we've got the start of our bedrooms. Now we've done a few of these beds. I'm just going to put them down in each of these rooms. Like so. That's great. And the dwarves should bring them over whenever they can. I've only got 7 dwarves at the moment, so they're quite busy. Somebody's a little bit... Oh, someone was unhappy. They've cheered up. Good. We'll cheer up a lot once we've got these beds down. Everyone's busy, it looks like. Farming mostly. I did tell them to do a lot at once. Ah, we've got some new migrants. So, you'll occasionally get new dwarves join your fortress. Each season there's a chance of it. More likely if you've got quite a valuable fortress. You got a lot of people wanting in on it then. So if we have a look. Oh, they brought the children. Great. We got a doctor. We got who else is new? Another miner. That's cool. Oh, a legendary boa. All right. I'm actually going to turn off mining for this planter and put it on for the miner instead. There we go. That makes sense. Okay, we've run out of barrels to make a drink in, so I'm just gonna make a few barrels. And also, we might need some more wood. Cool. Alright, good, the beds are in. So, if I also add doors, we've got a few doors. I just want to show you something that's going to save you some time when you're setting up these bedrooms. Because you will eventually have over 100 dwarves. And so making bedrooms for them all is no small task. You can of course make a dormitory and, you know, they don't have their own place to sleep, which they don't really like as much. It's better than sleeping on the floor, but they really like having their own area. If no one owns a room, by the way, it's fair game, anyone will just come and sleep there. Okay, so if we go to zones and bedroom, I can designate this as a bedroom and I can assign it to a dwarf. Like that. But doing that individually for tons of bedrooms does take a while. So what you can do is, if I do another bedroom, and this time I click on the multi button, and I just grab all of them like that. It's noticed that it's 6 bedrooms, and it's done individual zones. There we go. Now I can just go through and assign them to whoever I want. That's yours. That's yours. That's yours. We're going to need to make more bedrooms. Now we've got some more people. But there you go. They now have bedrooms, and go to rooms. We can see this guy's got meager quarters, and there's his bedroom. It's not much. You can decorate it later. You can make them nicer places, but at least they will probably get a nice thought. See, look, this guy started sleeping before we made him a bedroom, and he's become embarrassed, which is going to lower his general attitude. You don't want angry dwarves. Angry dwarves do cause tantrums, and tantrums can destroy buildings and hurt other dwarves, and that can cause more tantrums, and you can lose due to something called a tantrum spiral, which is kind of hilarious, but also terrible if you've got an amazing fort and it fails because everyone is upset that they're wet from the rain and they don't have their own bedroom. So yeah. Okay, I think that about does it for our first look into this. We can continue soon, and I can show you how to get into industry, trade, some of the other workshops, other ways of keeping your dwarves happy. The game is endless, absolutely endless. But I hope this has given you a good starting point. Hopefully I haven't forgotten anything too important. If I have, I will cover it on the next one. But thank you very much for watching, and see you soon.